All right, y'all. So here we go, man. Testament. I'm gonna welcome y'all back to another episode of the Testament. Today we have Michael Brown on the show today. Super excited for Michael, man. Michael got 20 years of experience in sales and customer service. He got 13 years working at the Berkeley Hotel, which is a super popular hotel here in South Florida. He also has 10 years of real estate experience, financial services. We're gonna let Michael really truly tell his story, man. So welcome to the show, Mike. How you doing?
I'm great, man. Thank you for having me.
Man, awesome to see you, bro. So how's it going? How's it going on your end?
Well, the weather's been ideal, beautiful sunny South Florida. Been
Beautiful
here my
sunny
entire
South
life.
Florida.
Yes,
That's
sir. Been
good.
here my
Hey, bro,
entire life.
it's been cold though, for a little bit.
Yeah.
So good that it got back nice, man.
Yeah, that ain't stopped me from going to the beach. I go every weekend.
You on that bike, man. Hey, I need to get me one of those things. What do they
Man,
call them?
this is weight in
The
gold.
e-bikes. Ain't they called e-bikes?
Yeah, that's an e-bike.
Yeah,
It
man. I
looked
gotta
like the
get me one of those.
Batmobile.
So Mike, one thing we love about this show, man, is we love for people to come in and truly, tell their story in hopes that, by you sharing your testimony, your story, it helps one person or two. That's the goal of the show, man. So we just want to kind of just like talk through some of your experiences and things that you've been through, how you've overcome them, just some growth experiences and, through trials and tribulations that can kind of help or that has helped position you to some of the stuff, to some of the places that you are right now. All right.
Yes.
So let's just jump right in, man. So share a little bit about, where you come from, a little bit about maybe your upbringing in terms of just growing up.
Yes. Well, born and raised in West Palm Beach, Florida. I know I should probably get out a little more. I've traveled the world though, so I'll take that with a grain of salt. There's almost nowhere I'd rather be. With that being said, I within the past few years been going through a spiritual journey, with some soul searching, finding myself, identifying with some traumas, addressing them directly, trying to figure out more of the, you know, what can be done about this as opposed to why is this happening. I strongly feel that there's a lesson in everything that happens in life, and it all like really streams down to how you react, firstly, and secondly, how you maintain the power. It doesn't matter who, what, when, why, if, or where, you still have the power to control your reaction.
So Mike, slow down real quick. So let's go back because I wasn't gonna go here, but since you opened it up with the
Yeah.
spiritual journey, we're gonna walk it out a little bit. So like, so
Right.
for me, man, tell me, when did you even realize like you was in a battle?
It was a very, very pivotal moment. In fact, it was in 2020, in the midst of the lockdown.
COVID.
I guess at that point, yes, the panorama.
That's what they called it.
I guess it was more in line with sitting in the silence during the lockdown. I was working from home in real estate at the time, so I had a lot of time to myself, and it was very healing. It was literally, physically, and theoretically like a moment of silence. When you have no other option but to actually pay attention to what's happening around you instead of
Right.
being lost in it.
Mm-hmm.
There was a specific incident that happened at that point, and it was I had joined a real estate investment organization, and I was, hungry, and I was like, ready to get down and get my hands dirty. And the whole segue of it was to help folks that were in pre-foreclosure and to help them actually avoid it. because most folks leading up to that point didn't know that they had options,
Right.
and there were plenty of options. Um, Predominantly, the amount of equity that most of these homes had accumulated leading up to that point, that was unbeknownst to these homeowners that, for whatever reason, couldn't pay their mortgage, felt that they were going to lose their homes.
Right.
So the mission was to, do an outreach to these individuals, but that included something that we call door knocking. So I'm not one that's afraid of no. I have tough skin. I was like, okay, so we got to go to these people's house, knock on their door, introduce ourselves, let them know why we're there. Hopefully, it's receptive. Hopefully, we can help them. That was the mission. So I, prepared myself to do that, go out there in the battle. And there was one house I went to in particular. I just so happened to drive up to the home the same time as the homeowner. And she was an elderly lady. She wasn't rude. She wasn't mean. She wasn't even dismissive, for all that matter. She just said, "No, I'm okay." After she got out of the car, she walked in the house, closed the door. And I was like, all right. It was awkward for a second, but I was like, all right, I got in my car, I drove off. I got home and it just put me on my ass, dude. I was like, damn, I was so hurt about it. And I was like, why is something so trivial and so surface really affecting me so deeply? I locked myself in a room for it felt like days. I didn't want to talk to anyone. I turned my phone off. And then that's when I really had to really bask in the silence and really do some soul searching and really reflect on what is wrong with me? Why am I so hurt? I don't even know that lady. Who cares?
Right.
And I had to try to figure out the means to overcome that adversity. Once I learned and figured out what it was, I knew that was the first step. So a typical person would probably seek some form of therapy or assistance, but that's not the world I grew up in.
Do you do you do you do you do you feel like, because back in our communities, right? Like our community don't see therapy as a way of help. Like
No.
we're not going to just go walk up in a therapist. And to be transparent, like I was one of those guys. Like I'm not going to go sit down. And my mom them used to always say, "Boy, you need to go talk to somebody." And I'm like, "No, man, I don't." I felt like for a long time I was strong enough to be able to do it by myself. But I want to ask you, like, do you, because I've now gone to therapy, like, and it was absolutely beneficial to my life, right? But I ran from it because it wasn't a cultural thing for me. So do you think that there's a hesitant there because we didn't come from those type of environments where those conversations were being had?
Absolutely, 1000%. I know I'm a product of my environment. That I guess you can say that red tape to scratching the surface and seeking help whereas needed just wasn't really a necessary and or option. It wasn't even it was very foreign to me. So with all transparency, I have not sought therapy even to this point. I actually did some real deep soul searching. I had
what did soul searching look like for you? Like, because like I don't think therapy necessarily is for everybody.
True.
Right? I believe that, and this is just a personal perspective because I don't want to put this on nobody, right? This is just a personal perspective. But I feel like if you could go and sit down and have someone just walk you through different styles of, because for me, when I think about therapy, bro, I look at it like a football coach. Like I look at it like
You want to be told what to do?
In the locker room when we're in film study, your coach is basically walking you through what the defense is doing, how guys are moving. Everybody is studied by position in a sense, right? And so like when I walked inside of my therapy session, I looked at it like, okay, cool. What tools are you about to give me to help me through childhood traumas?
Yep.
You know, because like I think that for me that was my thing. So like, but I do know that there are people out there, bro, that it doesn't really work for. And so some people do have the capacity to overcome without necessarily having to, or they just mask it better by not going to see somebody. So like for you, like what did like that space look like for you, and how did you overcome it?
True. It could be a combination of the two. I'm not one to lean in on knowing that I have the answer.
Right.
I'm not looking from the outside in, but I can say I had the advantage of being uninterrupted in that moment. And that's what kind of helped me reflect on the bigger picture. Within that time frame, I identified with said traumas. I learned that there was deep inside of me, the back of my mind, something that I categorized and put in a box. Um, my fear of abandonment, my fear of rejection, my fear of not being wanted. Um, I didn't realize that was an issue that I had because I overcompensated those adversities. My early adulthood, leading all the way up to that point, I was the guy. I paid for everything. I picked up the check. I was literally masking that with buying love and acceptance.
Right.
I put everything and everyone before me. And that was my safe space. That's how I became unaware. Yeah. Yeah. But the Michael you're looking at right now, I don't give a damn what anybody thinks. I really don't care.
No, but Michael, man,
and
like,
you can buy me a drink.
So you said some key things, bro, and I don't want us to walk over it, bro, because I honestly feel like, man, like there's so many young African American males, bro, that, and I ain't just gonna speak for just African American male because I think it's going on in every genre, right? Like
our
I
youth,
think it's a real,
absolutely,
it's a real thing, right? So, but like, man, just understanding like the significance of that, bro, and knowing that there's a lot of us that are struggling, you know, in this generation, bro, and a lack of confidence for real. You know, like you wanting everybody around you to tell your story. So I grew up in a community in the muck, right? South Bay, right?
Oh
And like
yes.
I wasn't like the popular kid, right? Like, so I came up through school, you know, like I wasn't like the main guy or one of the guys, right?
Okay.
Like I was like the kid over here in the, you know, on the side over here. And I got to college and overnight, bro, it all changed.
Hmm.
And you know how like when you young and you like, okay, cool, man, I want to be like them. Like, why can't I do what they doing? Like, I want to be like
Yeah.
that, right? But the reality was when the opportunity really came for you to be like that and you didn't come from that, could you imagine
You
the
get lost in it.
mental, bro? But you think about guys like us that come from these areas and these demographics, bro, that aren't real, don't even know how to express what you just expressed. And I
It's
think
true.
the only reason you're able to express it now is because we went through COVID and you had a chance to have a real quiet moment
Self-reflect. Yes.
to self-reflect. And I feel like we have so much going on
Yeah.
around us to like we really don't have time to sit and
No.
reflect.
That was that moment
That's
in time.
wild.
Yes, there was a lot of atrocities and a lot of drama and a lot of bad things in the headlines. But if I could go back, I don't regret a thing. I was reborn.
That's what I called it, rebirth. That's what I
Yeah,
actually named. I actually named 2025 that, bro. Rebirth.
yeah. I
Like,
named it the reset.
yeah, like rebirth, bro, because I'm going into it a completely different
Absolutely.
guy.
2025 is my
100%.
reset.
Yo,
January
rebirth.
1st was boom. Today is the first day of the rest of my life, and it's going to be amazing.
And it's going to be amazing. So let's shift gears real quick, man. 20 years of a
Yeah.
customer service um and in sales, man. Like, how has being a top person in customer service, a top person in sales, man, tell us a little bit about those experiences and how those experiences have shaped, part of who you've become as well.
Thank you. I would say the main priority for me, outside of leadership and helping other folks, uplift other folks to do the same, is to have conviction. Essentially, sales is sales, but at the same time, it depends on what you're doing and how it affects people.
Right.
You're not selling something just for the sake of selling it, depending on your take on your call and your life mission. My whole thing when I was in real estate, for example, it kind of put me in the box, but I didn't regret it. I advocated for first time home buyers. I was inspired to get licensed in real estate based on my experience buying my first house. Everyone was idiots and morons. I actually took the lead, read all of the emails and communication. I spoke to one of the presidents of Wells Fargo. He called me and was like, "Who is this guy? Why he got everybody all up in arms?" Because they kept dropping the ball. And I was like, nah, bring it in. You ain't going to be the reason I'm buying this house. Because if that happens, you won't have a job. And then after all of the dust settled, I got the house. It was bittersweet. It was done. It wasn't easy, unfortunately, because of said, lack of knowledge amongst other folks in higher places. But I had to help them bring it down. I'm one of the little people you're going to help. You're going to get this done. And it happened. But because of that, I got influenced to see to it that nobody else dealt with that. So that's why I went on to get my real estate license. And that's why I advocated for first-time home buyers. And that was my advocacy because I knew that it was, for the most part, in the average American, they thought it was an unobtainable goal. But if I could do it, you could do it. Absolutely. If I can walk that line and I can live this, then you can do it too.
You can walk it out too. Absolutely.
Yeah. We all can do this together. But you have to lead by example. So I took ownership in that before a long time because of that. The average first-time home buyer is probably on the lesser half of real estate.
Absolutely.
The funny thing is I did well in volume. I sold many homes. But at the end of the day, my sales in comparison to a luxury realtor, I could probably make around the same income, but they sold one house.
Right.
I sold 20.
And there is a difference.
There's a huge
difference. That margin dropped tremendously.
There's a huge difference. So I won awards for example, for number of sales.
Right.
Essentially.
And I'm sure you got a bonus. And I'm sure you got a bonus for it.
Yeah, but at the same time, it was
don't
like
match up, but you still got a bonus. Hey, we got to celebrate the little things, bro.
Bro, I could have made the same amount of money and a bonus selling 2 houses if I was targeting the right demographic. So, hey, look,
we get in and go in and want to go back to the places that's familiar to us.
Yeah.
And that's one thing I even learned going into this new role, man. Is just like you just can't open and run back to what's familiar to you, bro.
I agree. I had to grow past that. I definitely
Yeah,
had to
if you
push
want to
past
make
being
it,
in that box.
you gotta go and you gotta figure out how to. So let me ask you this. So I'm gonna go. I'm gonna shift it one more time. So as a young black entrepreneur, right?
Yes.
Um, what are some of the challenges you face um, working in a predominantly white world, like
Hmm.
environment? Like, how has you been able to adapt? To really fit. I wouldn't say fit in, but like like really be able to immerse yourself and feel comfortable in doing so amongst people that don't necessarily look like you.
I kind of actually like mass majority of my adult life like dabbled in that realm of society all the way back from when I had my first job. I was still a teenager and I was promoted to supervisor and I was in high school. I was running adults in the movie theater. Um, I even had one person say, "Ain't no kid telling me what to do," and I say, "Well, you can go home. We all have a job to do, and if you could
Everybody
do it
got
better than me,
one.
then you'll be standing over here."
Absolutely.
Yeah, I said, "You could always go home. You don't have to do what I tell you to do." Yeah, you didn't leave. She didn't know how to take that, but it was reality.
Yeah.
If you want more, then do better. It's not that hard. But at the same time, I do know, I'm fully aware of, I have a very dominant presence in a room full of people. I learned when I was managing a restaurant that my tone, my presence, my state of mind set the day.
Absolutely.
Uh, I learned that the hard way because there might be 1 or 2 days I come in and it's not like, my best morning. I woke up on the wrong side of the
Out of
bed,
the
but
bed, you hear me?
immediately, dude, it's like a domino effect. All hell breaks loose. Nothing goes right. Everybody's pissed. And I'm like, I guess I can't come in here on a bad day. So I
No.
had to reset. Every time I come in the morning, I'm smiling, even if I don't mean it. You ain't got to know that because I know it's set the tone. I already knew it set the tone. So that's one thing that I've capitalized on and understood my place in a space is to put my best foot forward first.
Man, so when I'm listening to you talk, bro, and I say this because I too feel that I have that gift, right? Like when you walk in
You
a
can
room
suck the air
and
out of a
it's
room. I
it's
know I
it's
am fully
it's
aware of it.
so and I'm fully aware, right? So much so to like uh I'm super cautious now
Yeah.
because I'm aware of it. Like I know that I carry that level of gifting, right? So
Yeah.
but like, man, um, how are you just able to like really truly like decipher, you know, which way to go in those spaces? Like what's good and what's bad for you? It just from your
Sure.
experience.
I would say I really try to surround myself with positive people that I know that will encourage me to be my best version of me. Anyone that compromises that, your arm's length,
Arm's
you
length.
either in or you're out. We can share a space, but I don't mean I have to give you mine.
Absolutely. I agree with that too, bro, because I always say ain't nobody getting in my passenger seat.
No, like, oh, so I can see how you move. I can see how you side eye me. I can see your passive aggressive statements,
Yeah, I
but
can I can
I,
feel all that.
I can see it. I can feel it. I'm looking at you. You don't realize I'm seeing right through you. But with that being said, I am not going to give you the power to like capitalize off of your opportunities. You're gonna stay right there in your little box, and that's how I navigate that because we could read a room.
Yeah,
We
facts.
know where we're received, and I am not
Absolutely.
one to sit around to be tolerated. That ain't happening.
That ain't happening at all. That was a phase
No,
in my life.
I could walk in a room and know that you, yeah.
That was a
What'd you say?
time though where I feel like I took that for granted. Right? Like there were a time where I didn't realize I was as gifted in that space without even really opening my mouth.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like I really didn't know that. And but like as I matured and as I got a little older, as you know, you go through these different experiences, you're kind of like, oh man, like you kind of catch on and be like, dang, maybe I am, maybe I do got a gift. And maybe I should protect that gift more than just share that gift. You know what I'm saying? So I've understood that as well. Let's dive into your current venture. I know
Yeah.
you're still doing some real estate stuff now too as well, but I want to jump into like because this has been a big thing for me as of late, just from a knowledgeable perspective, just knowledge, bro. Like let's get into like the insurance, the investments, the planning for what your life could look like in the absence of you or your wife or your children or you know whatever. Like let's jump into what made you go into this field with Northwestern Mutual. You've been there a year now. You've been super
Yes.
successful in your first year.
Yeah.
So let's just jump into like
Can't complain.
what made you take that that route. And um, let's just talk about how important it is. So let's bring some awareness around it.
Yes. I actually started with Northwestern Mutual as a client. Um, I met this girl at a networking marketing event. We exchanged cards. At the time, I was a full-time realtor. And, I didn't really give it much thought. But she followed up. She reached out to me. I took a meeting, went to the office, sat with her, and who's now my own advisor and my field director in the business. His name is Justice. And, it was very eye-opening to understand that we, as entrepreneurs, self-employed business people, we're under this very terrible preconceived notion that you have to have an employer to have some form of business savings,
Right.
or retirement savings, for lack of better words. A prime example of one that's commonly known is like the 401k.
Right.
So a lot of folks are under this assumption that if you don't work for someone, then you can't acquire things like that. You can't manage to have a structured retirement plan because it's only provided by employers. So I learned in that endeavor that is one, in fact, not true.
Not true.
But while I was in while I was in the process of getting my stuff together and trying to figure out what I was going to do for me, because I was at the time turning 40, which is a very pivotal moment in your life where you're like, okay, this is the next chapter. What am I going to do about it? It's sink or sail at that point.
Right.
I want to retire, and I don't want to retire broke.
Right.
So I set in motion the things that needed to be done to actually implement these things into my everyday life, my business structure, have a plan, which technically I kind of didn't leading up to that point. And it dawned on me like a mass majority of my peers were like me. Almost any other realtor in the business and industry that I knew were like me. They were on a fast track to going nowhere. Unless you have an adequate savings, you're going to retire broke or you can never stop working.
Right.
So with that being said, it kind of inspired me to not only learn more about that, but to take action and help other folks do the same.
So a lot of people feel as though um, a lot of the type of insurance and benefits that companies like Northwestern Mutual has, they feel that is unaffordable, right? So let's talk about like what I mean, we don't got no numbers and no ages and none of that type of stuff right here, but like
Right.
let's ballpark um what it will look like from like a term or like whole term like plans. You know what I
Yes.
mean?
So I would say The funny thing is when you talk about
And when I'm
life
saying it, I'm
insurance,
only
a lot
saying
of
it like
people.
that because I want to show.
Oh yeah, I get where you're going.
Okay, cool.
I get exactly where you're going
All right,
because
let's go.
a lot of people think that the conversation about life insurance is so taboo. They think that it's there's always some underlining. They always feel like there's, and I think that our community is conditioned to feel that way because of all of the benefits of this endeavor, the living benefits, long-term benefits, health, financial. All of this is grouped into this umbrella. It's not a coincidence that we've been conditioned, for lack of better word, to avoid it.
Yeah, the
This,
real conversation.
yeah, this is a vehicle that folks with money been using for 200 years.
But
We
bro,
are
let me. I want to add some icing on it because you want to play around it. I learned a couple days last week, right? I learned
it's
last
very
week,
eye
bro.
opening. It's very eye opening.
It blew
Very. Let me
my
tell you. Oof.
mind, bro. So I'm sitting in there and they go, if you cancel your, this is exactly how the man said it. The man said, if you cancel your Netflix subscription, your Amazon Prime, and your whatever other subscription, your iPhone subscription, right? That's enough money to have at least $1 million policy so that when you gone, your family is straight. Like I'm talking about less than $50, less than $100.
Yes.
And
Yes.
and here's the thing that really tripped me is that's how they're creating generational wealth
Generational wealth. They've been
because
doing
they
it for
understand at
decades.
some point I am going to die. And I feel like we
They're not
fear
only
having
doing it for their direct children, they're planning for their children's children.
these children,
This is why.
what?
Yes.
Bro, they
They already
spending
been
less,
good
they
because their
spending,
parents did it. They're,
and
they're two
then when you,
generations ahead.
bro, when you think about these people spending $1,000 a year on $1 million policy, bro.
A simple term policy.
Simple term policy, bro. And I'm like, we ain't even having these conversations.
No,
And we
that's not a
dropping like
coincidence.
flies. And we
That's
dropping
not a
like flies
coincidence,
in our community, bro.
bro.
And
Not a
we about to put
coincidence.
GoFundMe accounts out to I'm sitting in there. I'm sitting in there last week, bro, and it blew my mind.
Yep.
I'm not lying. I'm not
Yep.
lying. It blew my mind. It
I
blew
have
my
to say
mind.
this. Something that really surprises me is that we're so indoctrinated to be anti-success that we are literally voluntarily our own worst enemies.
We
It
are
is
out, man.
sad. It is depressing. It is demoralizing. And that's a part of my mission to help folks realize that you could do something about this
You could do something,
affordably and with conviction. And people that
bro.
see the bigger picture are typically folks that have children, own a business, own a home. You should see the bigger picture without a question or a doubt. Because one thing that is guaranteed is you will meet your maker. What you do about it is the difference.
And what
Are
you
you
want
going to
your
leave your
family.
family with a financial burden? Are you going to leave your family creating a GoFundMe? And that's your legacy? Come on now. You could do
bro,
better.
bro. Listen, I have now a completely different perspective on, like even like me, bro. Like we got kids, got a little girl out here. Like, yeah, you got a savings for her, but bro, she could really be side up really nice for what you spend at Burger King a week.
Yep.
A
Dude,
week.
dude.
So for me, it changed my whole perspective. So give some words of encouragement to this generation, our demographic, our people, in reference to uh, understanding the significance of it and why it should be important right now.
I would say this. I think it's important because a lot of us can identify with what we like to call breaking generational curses. And that doesn't necessarily mean that you need to do something so astronomically different. It means more that you should align yourself with what successful people are doing, not what they are saying. Do what they are doing. That's the difference. And this is a perfect example. I went to this medical society. It's all Black physicians and nurses and clinicians and techs. And there were these three young gentlemen sitting at my table. Two of the three of them were our seniors at a university that's local. I'm not going to say the school. And then there was another gentleman at the table. So the three kids sitting at the table with me being the financial advisor, they were like, bah, 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 asking me 1,000,001 questions. It was cool. It was fun. The energy was great. But the individual sitting on the opposite side of the table, he actually is a professor at UCF. And he asked the guys, he said, do you guys have this or that? They all looked at him. They're like, no. He's like, okay, well, I'm going to need you to pay attention. I'm about to go up and speak. He goes up in front of the whole luncheon. He throws up a slideshow with this whole list of things that before you take your MCAT that you should have done and or be almost finished. Circle back, 2 of the 3 of the guys that was sitting next to me are about to graduate. They start squirming. And I look at them, I'm like, y'all got a lot of work to do, don't you? They just look at me. They were like, yeah. And that just broke my heart. I was like, I am so sick of this story where we're always fighting from behind. We're always trying to catch up. And so I leaned into them and I said, okay, I'm going to tell you this. When you go back to your school on Monday, align yourself with the legacy kids. They look at me. I'm like, the white kids whose parents are doctors. Because I assure you, everything on that list, they've already done.
Mm-hmm.
You're like, yeah? I said, yeah. You got to be competitive. Now, when you graduate, you might graduate with good, decent grades, but with your accolades and everything that follows and your resume and your research and your things that you should have been doing actively leading up to this point, none of it's done. But guess what? They've done it.
They've done it.
So this is what I'm going to leave you with. Do what they're doing, not what they're saying. Because they know that you haven't done it. They don't have to compete with you.
Yeah.
They don't need to know that you're not really seeking their friendship. You're going to be using them just as much as they use you. Hey, call it even. It is what it is.
It is what it is. It is.
You
what
grab
it
your diploma, the deuces. Thank you. Kiss my ass.
So,
just like you made me kiss you for the last 4 years we've been sitting in class together and all the things you didn't tell me. Friend.
So what happens when that surreal moment kick in and you're like, okay, cool, I got it now. You know, like what happened? Because now it's not a pride thing, it's not an ego thing, because there's a level of grace, I think, that is desired after you come to a place of understanding, right? And so now we're like, okay, cool, I understand how to sit in a room, even if it's an uncomfortable room, because now we understand grace. So like for you, what that process has been like?
I try to look at everything with a positive outtake. My intentions are to put my best foot forward. My intentions are to uplift and love on anyone that I feel wholeheartedly are worthy of it. I protect my space with conviction. That's a non-negotiable for me. If you compromise my safety or my comfortability, for lack of better words, we're not going to vibe that often. I choose me.
Yeah.
I choose me with the best intentions, and I choose me for people that deserve to bask in me. And that's why I advocate for actually really uplifting people. And that's why I always gravitate towards leadership in every job role I've ever had, because I know I'm capable. 2, I know I can make an impact. 3, I know it can change lives. And 4, that's going to be my legacy. Anyone
Man,
that knows me is always going to tell you what I've done and how I helped them.
so Mike, man, like I just want to say, bro, like I love your heart, man. Um, I love how passionate you are at just being in the right position to help other people. Because again,
Yeah.
like
Thank you.
that's what I feel life is really truly should be about, bro. And I feel God
Yes.
really truly put us here for servanthood. Like we all
Yes.
have connections and purposes in life where if we just get connected to our right source, bro, we'll get to the job that's at hand. And I think you taking advantage of the opportunities that have been placed in front of you. So super big shout out and hat to you, man, because I know how challenging it is, just
Yeah.
from a personal perspective. And one thing that we always want to talk about, especially on this show with it being called a testament, bro, is just getting people to just truly understand that you can come from bad situations. You can even have had the trials of all trials, and you can still overcome them. A lot of it is due to you stepping outside of your comfort zone and getting away from people or things that is familiar with you, and get around people that ain't really like you. And I
Yeah.
think that that's super cool. Same thing you were saying about those kids, just like, hey, go do what they're doing, because their work is already completed. So
Mm-hmm.
those are really great examples, man. So I definitely want to say just thank you, bro, just for coming on the show, being a part of it today. We're gonna let you close it out though, just to
Thank
be in
you.
respect of your time and all that kind of stuff, man. So tell us in closing, man, just what advice would you give this generation in reference to stepping out of their comfort zone, getting around people that are really unfamiliar to them, and just be a sponge to those spaces? Because I think we can both say that that's where we've really truly developed as individuals. And so for
True.
you, give your thoughts in reference to those things as we close.
Thank you. I would say me as a person, overall, it hasn't changed much. Um, I always had this intent to uplift and carry people, for lack of better words. But there was a period of time that it was for the wrong reasons. Back to when I felt that I had to buy acceptance, I had to buy your love, I had to buy you actually tolerating me, when or if you did or didn't, I wouldn't know, because you're going to show up anyway because you're not paying for the drinks. So the me today, I still advocate for giving. I still advocate for uplifting. I still gravitate towards all of the above. But the difference is I am a different person because I choose me first. Now you'll
Absolutely.
be so lucky to bask in that world, you know. So I give it where it's due, where it's needed, where it's necessary. I haven't changed at all. I give all day, every day. But now I have a different understanding of what that means, and drawing the line to who deserves it. And I keep my cup full. And I might give you some if you need it. But I'm not subject to your need before mine. And I think that right there will help people understand how they can take their power back and put their best foot forward and own it and mean it and show it. And people will see. I've been hearing it a lot in recent times. Wow, you've changed so much. Someone even asked me, "Have you gone to therapy?" Nope. I'm just starting to choose me first. There's a lot more value in that. It's not monetary. It's the least I could do.
It's the least. That's so real. That is so real. Michael, man, I just want to say thank you, bro. I truly,
Thank
man,
you.
just appreciate your vulnerability tonight, man. Your ability to just come on the show, be real, open, transparent, honest, and real about it all, man. And I love the passion that I can hear in your voice, just when you're talking about it,
Thank
man.
you.
So I'm super, super, super pumped for you, bro. I know that we've yet to do some great things together in
Oh,
business. So
I'm
I'm
excited,
super,
bro.
I'm super, I'm
I'm
super excited
excited,
for
dude. I
that, man.
cannot wait.
So yeah, bro, it's going down. It's going down, man. So I'm super eager
Thank
to
you.
learn from you. I'm sure there's a lot that I could learn from you as well. Um, and like I say, man, I just want to build sponge too. I think that
Yeah.
what makes us, part of who we are is just being able to understand the significance of that, bro, and truly walking into it when we get those opportunities. So, man, again, bro, I just thank you for coming on, man, and I'll see you around for sure.
Yes, sir. Got to step into your light, dude. You got to
You gotta
step into
step
your
into
light,
it. You gotta
own
step
it. And
into
if it's too bright for them, hand them a pair of shades and keep walking.
it.
That's all I got for you. This
That's
is
all I
on
got
me.
for you.
Get
That's
better,
all
do
I
better.
got.
Your problem is not mine. It never will be. And reflect on that. What is it that you see in me that you want yourself? And go get it. Don't
Go
blame
get
me
it.
for it.
I love it,
That's what a
bro.
lot of people get wrong. This is not a competition, I promise. Ain't nobody a bigger challenge for me than me. That's
Hit
it.
me. You sound like Dion over there, bro. Chill out.
But that's what it comes down to. I
That's
don't
what it.
compete with
Hey,
people.
so, bro. That again, bro. It has a lot to do with confidence, though. Like it has a lot to do with confidence, and so again, man, I think that that's what is so significant. And once people really truly tap into their level of confidence, it will not be
Yes.
an issue. And so that's what we want to make sure that we're always encouraging, man, is people to just walk into their gift. Again, I want to thank you guys
Yeah.
for having Mike on with us today, man. Super excited to have you on, like I said before,
Thank you,
man. And
everyone.
yeah, man, we'll catch you around, man. Y'all be blessed out there.